Here, shalom. So right here is Trump, Cyrus, right? Is Trump, Cyrus, Koresh, right? Is Trump Cyrus of the Bible? Is he a modern day Cyrus, as they've been seeking to make us believe since, what was it, 2018, right? 2018, right? Is Trump the Jewish Messiah, right? Or Antichrist? We have to ask that question, right? Is he the Jewish Messiah, aka, or the Antichrist? Now, this is the part two. Actually, we did the part one, right? The part one just kind of sets the stage, the whole Cyrus and Trump connection. So, Trump, right? Trump, Trump Cyrus. Is Trump Cyrus Jewish Messiah or Antichrist, right? Is Trump Cyrus? Okay, so here, let's go over this right here, right? Now, we may have to just kind of go over this for ones and ones in this video right here. Now, on the whole Ark of the Covenant connection, right? It's come to our attention that there's this whole so-called perfect replica, right, of the Ark, right, that was at Trump's place in Mar-a-Lago. So this is it right here, perfect replicant of the Ark, ARC, really it's ARK, but anyway, the Ark of the Covenant, right? 2,700 hours of labor. It's said to be 6 pounds of gold. So this right here is said to be 6 pounds of gold, right? This right here, right? So here, at the bottom of the picture, you get to see this right here, Mar-a-Lago, right? And I heard Trump, while he was doing the whole run-up to the election, talk about Mar-a-Lago, it's a beautiful place, and such and such Mar-a-Lago. What a wonderful place, what a beautiful place. He talked so affectionately about this place, Mar-a-Lago. Now, he didn't mention this, but no doubt, all the so-called sycophants, they kind of know about this right here. And we're not particularly against, Trump, really right here. We think this is all very, very interesting. That's why we're doing this kind of like, basic, brief kind of overview, because there's a lot that's going on here, right? So here, as we showed before right here, right, from James O'Keefe, right, the third, right, and then Patriot Takes picked up on this and asked the question, why is there a gold replica of the Ark of the Covenant at Trump's Mar-a-Lago home, right? The same picture we just showed you, right? So let's scroll down here. As we scroll down here to the bottom, we have the George HQ, replying to James O'Keefe III and saying, plot twist, right? It's not a replica, with a smiley face emoji. All right, you see this right here. So they're implying here that this is the real Ark. Now, there's some very interesting things right here, right? Here, now this meme here says, or this one here, let's call this slide here says the new Ark of the Covenant. The what? The new Ark. Now we should know about the Ethiopian, right? David had a son named Solomon. Solomon had a son named David, who renewed the kingdom of David in the tops of the mountain, Ethiopia. And the credible information on the Ark of the Covenant historically points it in the direction of the southern kingdom of Judah, aka Ethiopia. But be that as it may, we digress right there. Just to show you this is the overview. So over here, on the same picture here, at the bottom, Revelation 11:19, it says, then Elohim's temple, right? Then Elohim's temple was open, and the Ark of his covenant, right? Not Trump's Ark, but the Ark of his covenant, right? So it's not a replica, but the Ark of his covenant was seen within his temple. There were flashes of lightning, rumblings, peals of thunder, an earthquake, and heavy hail. Revelations 11 and 19. I was going to say that the Romans, the ancient Romans, this whole system, we're in the times of the Gentiles. Just to peep ones, the scriptural, 411, we're in the times of the Gentiles. So when you hear about the end times, we're in the last days of what? The end times of what? The end times of the times of the Goyim, of the nations, the nation states, the Gentiles, right? We're in the end times of the Anglo-American right? The Anglo-European, Anglo-American world order. Some might want to call it so-called white supremacy, what have you. But this is this Greco-Roman system, right? From such a time, from the time of Messiah, right? Over the past 2,000 years, we have been in this times of the nation states, aka the times of the Goyim, aka the times of the Gentiles. And here we're coming to the end times, right, of this system. Right, this is why there's so much talk about world orders and new world orders and old world orders. But we see, we see their currency, right? It tells us 1776. That's when the order, right, their new world order was established. But there's problems with the new world order. They're trying to repair the breaches of their new world order. And this here is one of their reaches, right, to repair the breach. Now, you all remember the Raiders of the Lost Ark. They flipped it. Right? Hollywood flipped it, right? Instead of the Nazis, it was the fascists, right? The Romanists, Benito Mussolini, the fascists, the fascists, Benito Mussolini, right? The Lateran Treaty, the deadly wound, right, that was healed. 1929, go look up the deadly wound that was healed. So what they did in the Raiders of the Lost Ark movie is kind of flip it, right? They gave you some truth, but they flipped it around, right? Instead of the Nazis, right, the German Nazis, right, was the fascists, right, and that Holocaust that was going on in Ethiopia. They don't like to tell you about that, against the Lion of the tribe of Judah, not the Lion of the tribe of Judaism. It's not the Lion of the tribe of Judaism. It's the Lion of the tribe of Judah. So they flipped it, right? They replaced the fascists, right, in the real history with the Nazis, and they replace Ethiopia, right, with Egypt. That's why the movie talk about they find the Ark, in some Egyptian tomb, rah, 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 and then you have the Germans, running after. But the reality was, right, that Benito Mussolini, working for the Vaticonians, the Babylonians, the Vaticonians, for Babylon, right, and the papacy, right, after the whole Lateran Treaty, the deadly wound being healed. I mean, that's so important there. Most ones don't know that the whole deadly wound being healed, right, we have a fulfillment in them days and them times in the 1920s, right? So the real prophecy that's working out now is based on a real history then, not on things like this movie here. This movie just kind of hints you that something about the Ark was going on, but they flipped it, right? Instead of the Germans, the Nazis, it was the fascists, Benito Mussolini, the Italians, the papacy, right? Rome, Vaticonians, right? And, right, instead of Egypt, right, it was Ethiopia, and it was the conquering lion of the tribe of Judah. So we both have the Ark of the Covenant, right? The Davidic, right, monarchy, right? A man to sit on that throne of David, right? And we have the Beta Israel. Wow. Right? You see that trifecta right there, right? In the reality. So here, this is the other Ark, right? This is the Ark. This is Trump's Ark. Once again, Trump, right, has a replica of the Ark of the Covenant. So it's a replica indeed. You can tell, look at it, right? At his home in Mar-a-Lago. Notice that right there. On display right there, right? So what do they know that they're not really telling us about, right? I mean, this went into a little bit in the last vid, right? Not to go into detail, one can steal it, right? And read over it for yourself, right? Some very interesting things. I mean, they say the most outlandish and brazen things, right? The Ark of the Covenant. Now, this is actually a different Ark, right? Right there that was constructed, right? Let's scroll over here, right? And let's go to this. So this is this coin that they've been circulating around, right? Where they have effigy, right, of a Eurocentric kind of, what they call a Cyrus, right? And, well, at least they didn't use the one from the 300, that movie, the 300, that Cyrus, that Xerxes. Well, that was actually Xerxes right there, Ahasuerus. But anyway, be that as it may, here's Koresh, right? And then there's Trump right there, right? This is the coin right there, just to kind of peep ones to what's going on. Now they call this the 70th anniversary, Now, we touched on the prophecy because the tribe of Judah, right, was in Babylonian captivity for 70 years. Then the Babylonians were defeated by Cyrus, right? And then he basically, his heart was stirred, according to the scripts, by Yahweh, not by the Christian right, you know what I mean? Not by the evil angelists, not by the wasp, not by the white, the white Zionists, but by Yahweh himself. But you can see how they're putting these things together. So the 70 years here, right, matches for them, right, what Jeremiah, the prophet, revealed about the 70 years of the tribe of Judah, not the tribe of Judaism, right? Remember, the word says the tribe of Judah, Yehuda, not the tribe of Yahadut, right? So here, the whole Cyrus connection. And then you can see how they put Trump's face onto the coin, right? Trump's face is put onto the coin, right? So when you hear this rhetoric about, oh, well, Trump and Cyrus and Trump, right? Because they actually building this up from 2018. Now, here's the amazing thing. When we said it could be the first Trump, might as well be the last. I mean, look how accurate that was. And that's from natural mystic. There's a natural mystic that's blowing through the ear. If you listen carefully now, you will hear this could be the first trumpet. Might as well be the last, right? The first Trump, we said it from the first Trump's time. Then we had Biden, forbidden, forbidden for Biden. You know what I mean? But we held the faith, y'all. We held the faith, and look what happened, right? The last Trump, right? This could be the first Trump, might as well be the last. Many more will have to suffer. Many more will have to die. Don't ask me why. So BMW had already said this, right? Prophetically, musically, Bob Marley and the Wailers, right? And you can find more if you want to listen to the lyrics there and listen to the tune, right? Bob Marley and the Wailers, BMW, natural mystic. There's natural mystic that's blowing through the ear. If you listen carefully now, you will hear, right? That's what it says in Revelation. It says in the Brit Chadash and the New Covenant scriptures, right? Especially in Chazon, Yochanan, right? In the Revelation, a vision of Yochanan, of Yah's grace, Yochanan, right? Of John. It says, he who have ears to hear, let him hear what the Spirit saith to the churches. So our question here is Donald J. Trump, is he Cyrus? Is he Cyrus? Is he the Martin, the latter-day so-called Jewish Messiah, right? Or is this really what the Christians call the Antichrist? Or, well, we know there's many Antichrists. First of all, we're not like these other people that look for one guy, per se. But there will be certain ones who will be perfect placeholders. Is this what they're trying to make Trump into a perfect placeholder for this, for this Jewish Messiah, a.k.a., right, Antichrist? Now, why do they say that Trump is Cyrus, right? Why do they say this? Right, this has been going on since 2018, right? I think it first was from the Christian right, right? The evil angels, the evil evangelicals, were saying this. Some say this helped to sway, like the conservative Christians, right, to vote for Trump, right, because of what's preached, right, in the churches. What is preached in the churches concerning Cyrus? Well, let's go over here, right, to Isaiah 45:1. Now, we touched on this verse already, right? Isaiah 44:28. We could almost say that they have sought to make this fulfilled with Trump during his first time. Thus saith of Cyrus, Koresh, right? The one named Koresh. Remember David Koresh, Branch Davidians. Remember that cult? What happened to that cult? But there's a bigger cult, right, that's going on, right, concerning Trump as Cyrus, the Trump as Cyrus cult, right? Here the word says, Yahweh says, HaKadosh, the Holy One, Baruch Hu, Baruch Hashem, not the Christian right, not the evil angelists, right? But Yahweh here in the prophet Yeshaya HaNabi, right? He says that Cyrus, Koresh, my shepherd, and shall perform all my pleasure, even saying to Jerusalem. That's why we pointed out that what Trump did, what was that, 20, I think it was like 19, something like that, where he declared that Jerusalem, right, would be the capital of the state of Israel and was moving the American embassy there. That wasn't like an announcement that was made then, right? So here's another connection, right? Just showing you how, right, when talk about false prophets, right, they're false prophecies, but how they were made to believe, to deceive, right? That's what it says, if it were possible, right, even the very elect will be deceived, right, under strong delusion, right, even saying to Jerusalem, thou shalt be built, and to the temple. Now, Trump has spoken to both of these, Jerusalem, the capital of the state of Israel, and also encouragement, right, to the Ashkenazi Zionists, the white Zionists out there, right, to build the temple, what they call the third temple, right, and to lay that foundation. So when we look at these wars and rumors of wars, we have to really put all this together, right, looking at the wars and rumors of wars. But to the question here, right, Jewish Messiah or Antichrist, why do they call Trump, right, Cyrus? It's because of this here, Isaiah 45:1. Thus saith Yahweh to Mashiach. Mashiach in the Hebrew is his Mashiach, right? Now, the Christ-Messiah connection, I hope you're aware of the Messiah-Christ connection, right? Oh, let's do this right here, right? Let's go over here. Let's do this right here. Let's go Messiahs, the way they spell it, right? Messiahs, right? Let's see, did we spell it correctly? No, we need to put another S there, right? Messiahs, right? Let's just go one time, we'll find it, there we go. John, right? John chapter 1. John chapter 1, verse 41. He first findeth his own brother Shimon, right? And saith to him, we have found the Messiah. You see the Messiahs there? Messiahs, that's the Greek there, right? Anointed, right? It's the Greek form of Messiah, Messiahs. It's the name of Christ. Actually, Moshiach is the translation, right? From the Hebrew into the Greek. The anointed one, the Messiah, right? Which is being interpreted, you see what it says? Christos, the anointed, right? The anointed. So that's the Messiah, right? Anointed connection. And then that's John 1:41. And then we have again in John 4:25, the woman, right? The Samaritan woman said to Yeshua, Adonenu, Robenu, Einai Rabbi, the rabbi of rabbis, Yeshua HaMoshiach. She said, I know that Moshiach, that Messiah cometh, that is called Christos. When he is come, he will tell us all things. That's what the woman said, the Samaritan woman. But we point to these verses here to show that Messiah, right, equals Christ, right? Just in case you didn't know. Messiah equals Christ, right? So let's go over here, right? Let's go over here, right here to Cyrus again, right? Let's bring up our verse in Isaiah, right? Here we go, right here to Isaiah 45:1. So thus saith Yahweh. So it's Yahweh, Hashem, that said this, not the Christian right, not the white Zionists, the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, you know what I mean? And none of them, right? But Yahweh says to his anointed, to Cyrus. So it's because of this connection. By calling him Cyrus, it's to say that he is Messiah. So many of the Christian right, they already know this, right? But they kind of veil it. You know, you have to put it, oh, Cyrus was anointed. Oh, yes, Trump. But they basically are saying that Trump is the anointed. He is the Messiah, right? He is the Lord's Messiah as Cyrus. Now, the thing about Cyrus here is that Cyrus, or Koresh, he is the only Gentile. His name means poses thou the furnace, right? What, hell? Right? They're messing with something they shouldn't be messing with. Cyrus is the only Gentile, right, non-Israelite, non-Judahite, to be called Messiah. I remember the priests were messiahs, right? Prophets, certain prophets were anointed, priests, prophets, and kings, right? whose right hand I have holden to subdue the nations. Right? So you can see where Trump's political push, right, against the nations, the United Nations, they love that there because for them, that is a fulfilling of what is written here. I have holden, right? That see, Yahweh is speaking this, but then this is where the evil angel is. This is how the angel, transform himself into light, and then Satan like an angel, then his ministers like them. So they take this word out of context, right? And they're running with it, right? And we're seeing things happening in real time because of it, right? I have holden to subdue the nations, right? The United Nations, cut funding from the United Nations, different things with the United Nations, the nations. That's why you see in Trump's presidency, it's us, in a sense, versus them, these other nations, to subdue nations, right, before him. And I will loose the loins of kings, right, to open before him the two-leaved gates, and the gates shall not be shut. You see, now, this prophecy here, right, this prophecy here was to Cyrus, right, to defeat Babylon. Cyrus is the king of Persia. Persia was ancient Iran, ancient Iran. I mean, look how trippy is this for them to say that, well, Trump is Cyrus. Wait, hold on. If Trump is Cyrus, right? Right? Trump is Cyrus. The Jews are not in Iran. You see what I'm saying? And Iran, right, did not defeat, right, Iraq. So how are they applying this today? They're applying this to Trump, right? But the other elements are not really in line. But here's where the false prophecy, we have to understand the power of the false prophecy. When we listen to the true prophecy, this is all very, very interesting. But here is the connection, right? Here's the connection right here, right? With the Trump and the Cyrus connection. Right? Thus the coins. So the coins are going out there. Now notice what's on the coins, right? What's on the coins is what they call the third temple. So the Yehudi, the Jews that do not acknowledge Yeshua, right? Because there are many that do, but the ones that don't, they're looking for the third temple. We already know, right? As disciples and followers of the King of Kings Christ, Yeshua HaMashiach, what the true temple is, right? But they're seeking to build this third temple, right? So there's this temple coin going on, right? Going around in circulation, right? We'll do a breakdown, of the coin, but notice what they say right here, to fulfill 70 years, right? Now, notice the tribe of Judah, right? Not the tribe of Judaism, but the tribe of Judah, right, was in captivity in Babylon for 70 years. So you see what's going on right there? Right? Yeah, Melot, right? Sheva Shana, right? Yeah, to fulfill 70 years, right? So this is the coin, right? This is the coin that's being circulated, right? When it said, the shrine of the king, the royal city arise, come forth from thy ruins, right? So here they're quoting scripture, right? The shrine of the king. Mikdash Melech, Ir, right? Malka, Maluka, Ir Maluka, right? Mikdash Meleka, Ir Maluka, right? Shrine of the king, royal city, arise, come forth from thy birth, right? Free translation there. So you see what it says right here? You see this picture right here? Notice what it says at the top. Cyrus is my anointed. All right. Now notice on this one, they don't have Trump on there, but you can already see the build. All right. The build. It's like an evangelical Christian, right? Counterfeit Christian 3-card Monty. All right. Now notice what it says there, the Persian Empire. This is why you see Iran is a powerful part of the whole political thing. Right? Even when Trump was running, talking about what he's going to do for Iran, he's going to do this to Iran, that to Iran. But notice that Cyrus, he was the king of Persia. He was the king of ancient Iran. So how does Trump figure in this? It's almost like when the Messiah says, Robenu says, right, if if Satan, be divided against Satan, if he's against Satan, like Satan against Satan, kingdom against kingdom, almost like one against himself, if you understand, right? So this was 2020, right? This was a half shekel from 2020. But it's very clear right there where we have the Cyrus, right? He is my anointed king. So they're looking at him like an anointed president. Once again, Jewish Messiah or Antichrist, right? Right, right. So notice here, he's seeking to do something else, right? That he really and a lot of other people don't have a right to do. That hand sign. Now that hand sign has been demonized, but notice the Ark connection, Ethiopia, right? We, the black Jews, the line of the tribe of Judah, Ethiopia. This hand sign, Ethiopia, right? Notice, right? As we have an Esther, right? From Persia, right? To what? Right? From India to Ethiopia, right? Okay, so right there. So Cyrus, right? Cyrus. Is he Cyrus? Right? So far, when we look at the prophecy, right, the Jews, you say the European Jews or the Jews, the 1948 Jews, they already returned to the land. Note that there. They have already returned to the land. See, in the Cyrus prophecy, the Jews, really the black Jews, we the black Jews of the line of the tribe of Judah, not the tribe of Judaism, but the tribe of Judah, were in the Babylonian captivity. So now if Trump is really a Cyrus, well, it's what will he do for we the black Jews? You see what I'm saying? Right? Because we are the ones who are still in, right, a land that is not ours. You check right there. You know what I'm saying right there, right? But as far as the way that the Christian right has been pushing this Trump narrative, right? Is Trump their Cyrus, right? Some may try to make a case, a yes and no case. But basically, it's a no case, but how they are making it a yes case because of the ignorance of most of these Christians, right? And they're using this, and this is the play. They're using this, right? Who is King Cyrus? Why did Netanyahu compare him to Trump, right? So they're using, this is what it calls like mishandling the word, right? Mishandling the scripts and mishandling the word, right? And also the firestorm. But it's also a working out of prophecy, if you know what I'm saying, because it's bringing the end times. Now, I want to talk about the men and Tekelo Pharisee, right? I was going to talk about that a little bit right there, right? And here's some more of these coins, right? The temple, right? What they're seeking to do, rebuild the temple of Solomon, right? What we have in the scripts and in true history. So they're using real history. They're manipulating the biblical scripture and history, right? Right? It's almost like an AI, right? If you know what I'm saying. They're running an AI. This is like a strong delusion, right? So what's currently existing on that spot is the Al-Aqsa Mosque, right? So now when we look at the politics, the wars, the rumors of wars, right? So that would have to remove in order for them to rebuild that, right? But as we begin to study, we see how much preparation. Here we go. Temple, right? They already said they have a blueprint, right? Not just for the temple, but how to remove, right, the so-called Al-Aqsa Mosque that is said to be built, right, on the foundation of the temple of Shlomo, HaMelech, the foundation of the temple of Solomon, right, King Solomon, right? So they have a what, right? We have a blueprint, right? A blueprint. So now let's over is what has happened over the past almost 2 years with Gaza, right? With Gaza, aka Gaza, right? And the Hamas, unjust gain, that's been going on, right? See how everything begins to line up? Notice this right here. This is trippy right here. They're saying basically we have this already ready here to replace that over there. Now, think about the ramifications, right? So-called worldwide, or like they say, globally, according to globalem, right? According to globalem, right? They say global, but we say global, right? Like Baal, like Baal, yeah, right? So over this one, this is kind of a trippy one right here too, right? Looking straight through over there at Al-Aqsa, right? So what they're saying is that this, right, in the foreground, got to replace that there in the background, right? And this is all part of the big picture, right? So the question once again, right, where it says, and he charged me to build him a house in Jerusalem, right? So now Cyrus, the real Cyrus, right, not the counterfeit. So is Trump the counterfeit Cyrus? Is he the counterfeit Cyrus to fulfill what? 70 years. Le Milot, right? Shava, right? Shana, right? So here it's actually Shivaim Shana, right? Le Milot Shivaim Shana. And the whole land shall be a desolation, astonishment, and these nations shall serve the king of Babylon for 70 years. All right, so see how they mix up the 70 years? So we have 70 years, and it shall come to pass when the 70 years are accomplished, right? When they're accomplished, like Limelot, being fulfilled, right? I will punish the king of Babylon, right? And that nation, it sounds like at 400 years, and also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, right? Before they come out of great substance, right? The king of Babylon and that nation, right? Saith Yahweh, for the iniquity and the land of the Casdim, the Chaldeans, will make it perpetual desolations. Right? He's going to visit upon them. Notice this is all part of the 70 years that you see on that coin. Thus saith Yahweh, that after 70 years be accomplished at Babylon, I will visit you and perform my good word toward you in causing you to return to this place. Right? Speaking about the tribe of Judah, right? That was in the Babylonian captivity, right? The Babylonian captivity, the Babylonian exile. So here, in looking at the 70 years, right? The 70 years in the scripture, but now, in seeing what's going on, we have to consider other areas of the prophet Yeshaya, right? And it shall come to pass in that day that Tyre, right? What is Tyre, right? What is the place of Sor, right? Tyros, a rock, right? What's the connection? A rock, right? What place in Palestine will this rock be? Tel Aviv? Is it somewhere over there? Right? Right? Shall be forgotten 70 years according to the days of one king. According to the days of what? One king. After the end of 70 years shall Tyre sing, right, as a harlot. You see what it says, as a harlot? Now, you know, in Revelation, talk about the Zonah. Zonah would be for a harlot. Zonah here, right? It speaks about the harlot of Babylon, right? And it shall be to Tyre as the song of a harlot. How people are actually harloting their so-called belief, right, to push this false narrative, right? It's a false narrative, right? But it's a part of what's written, speaking with the end time delusion, right? Here, Isaiah 23:17, and it shall come to pass after the end of 70 years. So we have the 70 years again, fulfilling 70 years, right? You got to watch which 70 years you actually fulfilling, that Yahweh will visit Tyre, and she shall turn to her hire, and shall commit fornication with what? The kingdoms of the world upon the face of the earth, right? And the whole land, once again, where we started, right, shall be a desolation, astonishment, and these nations shall serve the king of Babylon 70 years. Now check this out right here. We just looked up how old is the state of Israel, right? How old is the state of Israel? Now remember, it's May 14th, 1948. So if our math serves us correctly, right, we're currently at 77, right? We're currently at 77. 77 years. Think about it for a moment. 7 years ago, who was president? Could be the first Trump, might as well be the last. 77, 7 years ago, right? To fulfill what? 70, right? To fulfill 70 years. Could that be one of the 70 years? And lastly but not leastly here was talking about Tyre. Remember Tyre in those quotes right there? Tyre. All right, let's see if we can get Tyre right here. So Tyre right here is located in the modern state of Lebanon. Notice that right there, Tyre. See how close that is to the state of Israel right there? There we have Jerusalem. Right, so Tyre. There we go right there, Tyre. Right, Sidon and Tyre. You have in the biblical word. So, give thanks, brothers and sisters. Right, the 70 years. Right, Trump will make Israel great. Oh wow, they didn't say again. Notice you don't see it again on that. All right, notice that right there. It says Trump will make Israel great. That's a whole lot. Wow. There's a lot that they're putting on this man right here, and on this coin right here. But this is fulfilling the end time prophecy right here. All right, a little bit more on that right there. All right, to fulfill 70 years. All right, to fulfill 70 years. See, this is the what? What's it called? Temple coin. Right, the temple coin. Yeah. All right. The temple coin right there. There we go. So they made this during the 70th anniversary of the state of Israel, right? And they made the connection with Trump, connecting the 70th prophecy